Welcome everybody to the Broken Wing Racing League. This is the GT3 Championship Season 8, Round 1, here at Spa-Francorchamps in the Ardent Forest of Belgium. Bringing you the practice right now. We are about a couple minutes away from this thing ending and us going back out there. Let's pop onto a driver right now, Kyle Howe, who is sitting P25 at the moment in practice with a best of a 220.4. We have over 35 drivers on the grid for this opening race for Season 8. And a couple regulars that you'll already know who they are. Pulling back from Kyle Howe. Ooh. Actually, let's go back to Kyle Howe here real quick, because I forgot the controls. And that is Steve McAllister and Mark Foley battling out through Ravage. Walk side by side. And Jacob Simmons, car number 8. Or car number 00, position 8. In the BMW Beans livery. That extremely well-placed livery. And Beans from Even Steven on the side there. And off goes Steve McAllister. Collecting himself after shooting wide through Puan. We got a really good race on our hands tonight, folks. It is going to be a night race. Not only that, we got 6 minutes left before qualifying starts. But something to note for the drivers out there during practice. Trey Mistak has done a 217.9. Matt Shack just behind with a 218.2. That gap is 0.318. Difference there is 0.3. Tyler Anderson right behind Matt Shack in P3 with a 218.3, followed by Jeff Koffold with a 218.4. Now, interesting enough, this goes down to Mark Foley in P6. So from P2 to P6, we have 218 set as a trend for those drivers. Jacob Simmons actually just sets that time as well. So there he goes. So now it's P2 to P7, all in the 218s range. Now we have Elliot Burton in P8, all the way down to P20. So from P8 to P20, everyone's doing 219s. High and low 219s. We have Chris Stewart, who is in the pit lane right now, who did the lowest of the 219s with a 219.9. That's not a knock on him. It's just what he did in practice. I'm not sure how many runs he's done or how many stints he's accumulated during practice. But that's where he's at right now in P20. Just behind him is Marcus Malum. Malum? I'm going to go with Marcus Malum. I hope that's right. It's the first time I've seen this driver. From P21, he does a 221.1 all the way down to P27, all in the 220s. So high and lows of there. Garrett Augustin. Bear with me, folks. Some of these names are new. Garrett Augustin, I don't think he is new, but Rodrigo Theory. I'm not sure about that one either. Rodrigo is doing a 220.173. Not that far off from P22 there. Tyler Kern out there on track. Let's see. Pop that back. Just give you... Actually, he's not on track. Is anyone on track? Here we go. Noah Hodgkinson. One of the league admins. Might be an off track. All four-wheel. Top of Brady on there into the Camel Straight. Let's see what he can do here. We still got a couple minutes left. About 3 minutes left of practice. Still going down the order here from P27. That was a 220. And then that's where it kind of falls off a little bit, folks. We got 221s, 222s, and that's roughly the range. So we're going to have a little bit of a back marker group that's in the 221s to 222s. Race pace, though, we should see them kind of bunch up a little bit more. because they're going to be running so close. We got Nicholas Mazza. That's not a hard one to say. New driver, I would assume, this season. I haven't seen the name before, but Nicholas Mazza. Not that hard to say. That's good. Cooper McCoy, 2. Cooper McCoy, the 2nd. I'm gonna go with Cooper McCoy, but new driver to the league. So welcome him to this first race here at Spa-Francorchamps. And any new additions, I think we are it with that. No, we have Jason Greider, who is P33. He's actually set 1 time on the board, and he's in the pit lane. And I think that's it as far as people that are no longer new. Got 2 minutes left here. Let's go to the pit lane. Take a look at that. Dylan Maroney joining us again. He's P13 right now in practice with the 219.4. Other up at recovering people that came from the last season. Mark Foley returns, and he's P6. Was in the last season as your series regular. At the top of the board, Trey Mistack, Matt Shack, Team Shake Stack. But no longer Shake Stack. Stack Shack? I don't know which one that was again. Tyler Anderson, and also a returning familiar. I don't think he was in the previous season. Very often, at least. Simon Witten, he's returning. 2nd time in the season. Second season with us, I believe. Andrew Korstekki goes across the line. Joshua Grosso goes across the line. And he actually goes back into the pit lane, but he put in a P4. So that 218 range went from P2, from P7, now it's to P8, with Jacob Simmons rounding it out there. Elliot Burton in the P9 spot with the 219. Andrew Korstekki also in the 219s. From P9 all the way down into P22, that group just kind of expanded just by a little bit. A lot of drivers maybe just doing a quick hot lap to see what they're going to be able to achieve during qualifying. But some of the times have improved on the board. And what could Andrew Korstekki do? Because he looks to be on another flyer. And the race time has, or the practice time is ending. And that's it. You're switching over to qualifying. And it's a good thing I stuck with Andrew Korstekki, as he is the 2nd driver that is going to be taking his out lap here. Joshua Grosso behind and Chris Stewart ahead. Probably switch over to Chris Stewart here, as he is the driver. Be wondering what he's going to do for his push lap. Chris Stewart did a 219 during practice, but what he did in practice was on the high end. It was a 219.9, which put him directly at the back of the grid on the 219s. It's not the back of the grid, but in the backpack of the 219s, which was P23. And anyone that does a 219 high or low can see themselves either P8 or in the mix of the P8 onward to P23. That's kind of the golden marker there. If he can get to a P18, he's going to be in the top 7 without a doubt. There's not a lot of drivers that were pulling in those times besides the 7 that we saw. And one driver over all other drivers who's just a few car lengths back there, and you can see him in the background there. That is Trey Mistack in car number 4, who set the fastest time with a 2:17. Separated P2 3/10 from Matt Shack in practice. As they exit Stavlo, just getting the tires warm through Blanchimont, and into the bus stop. They're very close, and this is the one thing I always kind of struggle to make sense of. Like, you have to leave a little bit of space. You're compromising your own lap if you just stay right there on the bumper, and all of them look to be just not extending that. Maybe Andrew Korsecki doesn't think he's going to be feeling it. If Chris Stewart makes a mistake, it's definitely going to mess him up a little bit himself. As we go on board with Chris Stewart into La Source, really gets a good entry there. And he's got a driver on exit of Austin McGill in the Porsche Rexy. Through Eau Rouge. Lifts a little onto Radion, and then to the Camel Straight. What can Chris Stewart do? He's got 4 drivers right behind him that have done 219 lows or 218s. This could look like a backup almost. Look at that. Is Andrew Korsecki really not have a... This doesn't look like he has a great line going into that. Maybe being slightly slowed by Chris Stewart here. With no gap given, you might find yourself losing time to a driver ahead of you for qualifying through no name. And that 2.7 second gap ahead of him is going to be fine. That the outlap through Pouan, just got to lift a little and keep it back on the throttle and push. A nice exit here. And then just be really tight on the apexes through these 2 corners. And for Sector 3, just really nailing Stavlo and getting a great exit. Throttle down. Don't overdo it on the curbing. And Chris Stewart looks beautiful through that sector so far. And look how close Andrew Korsecki is, just glued to the back of him. Maybe he's gaining something out of this. And when he crosses the line, we're going to see a shakeup. And we're going to pop over to Austin McGill as the shakeup's occurring right now. I'm going to put it in order as a Trey Mistack goes P1 right now with a 218-1. Matt Shack in P2. Peter Flander in P3. Joshua Grosso in P4. Jeff Kaufhold in P5. Chris Lambeth in P6. Dylan Maroney in P7. Rodrigo Theory in P8. Simon Witten in P9. Charles Whedon goes ahead. Wow. Okay, the shakeup's still occurring, so just a second here. Ooh, a lot of drivers now making their first time lap shown on the board. Tyler Anderson goes to P6. Nicholas Massa goes to P7. Mark Foley, P8. Chris Lambert down to P9. Dylan Maroney in P10. Rodrigo Theory in 11. Charles Whedon in 12. Simon Witten in 13. Craig Carroll in 14. Andrew Korsecki is in 15. Did a 220 on that one behind Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart did a 220.4. 3/10 slower than Andrew Korsecki. So Andrew Korsecki got a little bit of a gain there, but not enough. Eddie Layton in P17. Tyler Kernan 18. Cooper McCoy in 19. Austin McGill. Garrett Augustin in P21. Kyle Howe in 22. Andrew Cody in 23. Jeremy DeMeza in 24. Christopher Daniel in 25. Steve McAllister in 26. Across the line, a driver went of David Flanagan in P11. I believe that was who would cross the line and made a new time on the board. So we have Jacob Simmons in the Beans. He's about to put his time on the board. Through Blanchimont. He's just got a few more corners to go, including the bus stop. What can he do? It said he's projected to do a 218 on the board. And the driver's off at the corner there. And hammer down. Where's Jacob Simmons going to be as he crosses the line? He goes to P6 with the 218.8 or 218.7 point. Or is it 218.798? I have dyslexia, folks. Then we have Elliot Burton crossing the line. Did he set a time on the board? It doesn't look like it. So he's going to have to go again. Austin McGill. He's close to finishing this out. And he hasn't actually set a time on the board either. He did have a hot lap on the last one, so he had an out lap, and then he must have just invalidated it. Christopher Daniel goes to P17. I believe he was in the 20s, so that's a big improvement for him. Marcus Malum in P20 with a 220.1. And Noah Hodgkinson, who is sitting in no traffic, really. I think he's going through Puon right now. And I'm correct, yeah. There he is. If he can just keep this, all four wheels in the track limits, he's got himself a very good position. We have very few drivers that have said the 218s and 219s. Is projected to do a 219 at the moment. If he does that, he's going to be well within the top 15. I would say top 10 to 15 range. More than likely, if that's the time he's going to set on the board. As more drivers have crossed the line. No change from the top of the order so far. Oh, yikes. And there's Austin McGill. The Porsche Rexy off before the bus stop. That's going to validate another lap, and he's going to have to go again. So that's 2 timed laps that he's not been able to improve. As Noah crosses the line, he goes to P9. I was so close. I said 10 to 15, and he goes to P9. What a move for him. Elliot Burton crosses the line. Where is he going to take this? If this is a valid lap, we are going to see a shakeup in the order. It took a minute or at least 10 seconds. No, I think he's invalidated another lap, folks. It has not changed his position. Austin McGill also goes for it as well. The race session is ended. They have just 1 lap to prove themselves here. And is it Christopher Daniel crosses the line to go P9 with a 219.1. We have Austin McGill and Elliot Burton, 2 drivers that have always found themselves in the top 10 for sure. And I would argue like top 5 even. They are both sitting possibly at the back of the grid if they do not perform 1 timed lap. And we're at the end, folks. They need a win. They need stability, consistency. They cannot go off out of the bounds, or they're going to be just trying to pile their way through the traffic, as they know there's drivers that are going to be in front of them that they clearly are going to have some pace over them in the race. But that's going to be a last to first scenario, and definitely not likely, but definitely try to get in some better points out of it, at best getting into the teens, hopefully with a good strategy on pitting, maybe even closer into the top 10. But Austin McGill really needs this. Elliot Burton really needs this. These both drivers are so close to being relegated to the back of the pack. If this lap is invalid, it is really going to hurt Austin McGill's chances on round 1 here at Spa, Francorchamps, in the Ardennes Forest of Belgium. The bus stop he goes. Where does he put the power on here? There he goes. Is this a moment for Austin McGill? It is. Elliot Burton also crossing the line. Austin McGill goes to P13. Elliot Burton goes to P18 with a 219.5. So it panned out for those two drivers. It's a nail biter for those two. Austin McGill with 3 laps invalidated. Elliot Burton, at least 2 known invalidated laps, I think, if I'm honest on that one. We have Trey Mistak in P1, Matt Shack in P2, Peter Flanner P3, Joshua Grosso P4, Jeff Koffold in P5, Jacob Simmons in P6, Tyler Anderson in P7, Chris Lambeth in P8, Christopher Daniel in P9, Mark Foley in 10, Noah Hodgkinson in P11, Nicholas Mazza in 12, Austin McGill in 13, Dylan Maroney in 14, Simon Witten in 15, Andrew Korsecki in 16, David Flanagan in 17, Elliot Bird in 18, Eddie Layton in 19, Rodrigo Ferry, I'm not saying that right, but he's in P20, Charles Whedon in 21, Craig Carroll in 22, Marcus Malum in 23, Chris Stewart in 24, Tyler Kern in 25, Cooper McCoy in 26, Garrett Augustin in 27, Kyle Howe in 28, Andrew Cody in 29, Eric Koonsman in 30, Jeremy DeMeza in 31, Bryce Bombach in 32, Steve McAllister in 33, and the drivers that are going to be assigned their grid placement is Matthew Wyckoff in 34, Jason Greider in 35, and Nicholas DeVille in 36, where the last two were mixed up. Things changed. Jason Greider in 35 and Nicholas DeVille in 36. All right, we got it. That is the grid. A lot of drivers on this one. And we will go to the grid. Just a few moments for all the drivers to get their setups going and get started. Usually these things go a little bit quicker. If you're just joining us, this is round 1 for the Season 8 GT3 Sprint Championship. We shall see that safety car move momentarily. And it was supposed to be a night race. And I'm kind of curious on that one. I don't believe the time is actually that bad here. It just doesn't really look like a night race. Not really a really dark night race, I should say. I mean, barely like a dusk scenario. Not too dark. Say around bus stop. They're going to be going green in just a few seconds. And Matt Shack already, or sorry, Trey Mistak already pulling away on that opening lap through La Source. Is Matt Shack going to be able to hold back Peter Flanner? It looks like he is so far. Joshua Grosso trying to pick up the scraps there in the Porsche just behind there, car number 23. And they're going side by side. Jeff Koffold and Jacob Simmons there in the backfield. And through Radion, it's clean, clean, clean. Down the Kemmel straight. Going further back. Oh, we have Peter Flanner and Joshua Grosso going side by side. Peter Flanner being defensive, trying to keep that place in P3. And it looks like he's going to give this space to Joshua Grosso, but he's also got the corner going in. Still defensive going into Ravage. It looks like Joshua Grosso might have it down. He's definitely going to stay side by side as they go into No Name. This is the final move. Is Joshua Grosso going to be able to stick it ahead? And he does. And he's ahead. And Jacob Simmons just behind. You can also see that he passed Jeff Koffold as well. And then look at, they're going through Puon side by side. And this is the moment where you really hope that he's going to be able to keep it together. And look at, he gets ahead. He stays ahead. And now Jacob Simmons is all in the back of Peter Flanner. And now he's got to worry about the position. He's lost one. Jacob Simmons is right there. Peter Flanner definitely should just focus on trying to push a little bit as they go through Stavlo. It's really just like a full pedal. Don't go too wide. Don't get a track limits violation there. And what is happening? Jacob Simmons looks to be slowing down. Well, it looks like he's slowing down, but it's definitely not the case. It's just, onboard view just looks very, very slow there. They're going through Blanchimont. He should be full power on. It didn't really sound like he was, but he has not lost. I mean, he's lost about a second to Peter Flanner, and it looks like the whole field is just like kind of slowly moving through that. Oh! We have a safety car. Safety car deployed. You know, I read the announcement, and I still forgot. Seeing everybody start to queue up, I'm like, what is happening? I read the announcement. They're adding a safety car. It's going to be a 2-lap safety car. There was an incident on track. Oh my. If only the commentator would remember these sort of things about the league. And we're going to go on board with Jeremy DeMeza, who apparently was part of this crash. And it's not showing up. Maybe Matthew Wyckoff? Okay, so Matthew Wyckoff loses it, and then he goes off. Oh, goes back on track. And I don't have... Okay. So the incident starts even further back. No, that's Intracore Stecky. That's part of qualifying. Jeremy DeMeza. They almost go 3 wide through a source. And we're on board with Jeremy DeMeza. Goes through Eau Rouge. Ooh! And they both just go sideways. One goes in the wall. That was Matthew Wyckoff and Jeremy DeMeza there. Oh, and they just touch on the exit. And that safety car was deployed, and we have bunched up the pack. What is going to be a single file restart. No driver can overtake. I mean, I'm sure they can at some point here. When the Trey Misek leads them back out, it's gonna be driver or car. The green flag goes, or the driver goes, whichever's first. I believe the driver's gonna probably want to take that like they did the start and get a little jump off the other drivers. This really just bunches up the pack again. Be interesting to see how this unfolds. This is the first safety car testing and deployment in this series. It really helps the drivers that were put there in the back of the pack. But I don't know, to be honest, is Steve McAllister is in P31 right now, and he's at the back end of this pack, and we don't have any other. Oh, we have Craig Carroll there, and Jeremy DeMeza and Matthew Wyckoff are going to hopefully get back out there. I'm not sure what happened for Craig Carroll, but he lost 10 positions off that start of the race. I believe post the synopsis of what happened at Eau Rouge, and actually technically at the top of Radion. This was gonna be the lap to get us back to green. No, it is not. All right, we got one more of these. And Peter Flanner has gone into the pit lane. Now, what could be said there? No, he doesn't. Who's that in the pit lane? As Elliot Burton going into the pit lane. This is the 3D chess strategy. Maybe he's going in for full fuel and knowing if he just does this stint now, he's not going to have to worry about it later. Earns a little bit of leeway with hitting under the safety car. None of these drivers are going to be able to stretch out a lot more time out of him. So this might be a good thing. Elliot Burton started P18, I believe. And, you know, he's only dropped down. Where's he at? The P32. It's 14 positions lost. Go Chris Daniel. Christopher Daniel is P8 at the moment. He's up one position from the start of this race. Good move for him. Another good move is Joshua Grosso going side by side with Peter Flanner through numerous corners. Really, once they got to the Kemmel Straight, it was Peter Flanner on the defensive. They went side by side through every corner after that, through Ravage, through No Name, through Pouon. And it was really on... There is when Joshua Grosso kind of stuck it and kept the position. And then shortly after that, it was yellow flags, safety car was being deployed. When I thought everyone was slowing down, they were slowing down. It was for this. It was for the safety car. They knew this was coming. And only a little bit of confusion from the commentator who forgot that safety car was being deployed for this season. Pax Oceany Ferrari. I'll take another look at that and see what you're talking about. And the number board on the winch screen is his position, car number 92 of Christopher Daniel. It does a very nice livery. Not to be confused with the many Valhalla racing teams that are on the grid at this moment in time. Elliott went into the pits and got a penalty, and they didn't refuel his car. Yikes! And so there you go. That's unfortunate for Elliott Burton, is a driver who, in qualifying, was really on his last chance in qualifying was to set a time on the board, and he was able to do so, going to P18 with a 2:19 something. Him and Austin McGill knew that was it for them, and now he's at the back. But it is bunched up, so he still has a little bit of chance to gain some positions, maybe claw back that P18. It's unfortunate. He is P32 at the moment with Jeremy DeMeza and Matthew Wyckoff also on the grid, with only one of them slotted right behind. And this will be the lap as we start to go green. Let's go to the chopper, maybe. Hopefully safety car's in, and now it's up to Trey Mistak, and it looks like he's gonna set his launch out. How is Matt Shack gonna respond? Ooh, and that might be another safety car. I'm not sure, but that's Peter Flanner going down the leaderboard. Yikes, you hate to see it, folks. That is a restart that was not entirely clean, but we will continue pushing. And I think it has to be like really specific qualities for these drivers to, or for the safety car to come back out. So we have a couple drivers going side by side. There's a driver who definitely has a slowdown penalty as Christopher Daniel goes through. He's going to take up a position. He goes to P6. That's 3 positions, 2 off the restart. Right behind him is Chris Lambeth and Nicholas Mazza, who's also pushing ahead with Dylan Maroney and Mark Foley battling it out on the Kemmel Straight. And they're not going to have to worry, or Dylan Maroney's not going to have to worry just yet, as he has Andrew Korstecki in his rear view. A little bit wide there for some of the drivers through No Name and through Puon. Is Dylan Maroney going to have to worry? No, he's not. Mark Foley is there, though. Only separated by 1/10. Is there a change in the order? We have Christopher Daniel looking, maybe taking a sniff there at Jeff Hoffel, but is not yet. Same with Mark Foley, also going a little bit wide there through these corners to get an angle. And through Stavlo, you really... Ooh, they almost came together, folks. That was very touch and go. Get the power down. Not too wide on the curbing here for Stavlo. Into Blanchimont. Dylan Maroney's going to get a 2/10 difference here from Mark Foley, which is going to really help his odds. And we're going to go back towards Christopher Daniel and Jeff Koffold, who are only separated by 2/10 as well. Through bus stop. Is a move going to happen at La Source? And Dylan Maroney is getting past. Wow. And that was... Oh, and we have a spin. And that is Mark Foley, Dylan Maroney, and Nicholas Mazza battling it out through bus stop. And Mark Foley was also sort of involved, but lost his rear. I'm not sure if he was hit or it was all on his own. We'll take a look in just a second, folks. That was a close one, but Dylan Maroney does lose a position. He's still at 5 positions off the race start. Yellow causes yellows. You said it best. That is definitely true. And is anything going to happen here? We have Simon Witten and Noah Hodgkinson. Are they going to battle it out? They are P12 and 13. Not just yet. As they follow through. Austin McGill in the Porsche Rexy. He's P18. He's lost a couple positions. 5 off the start. And it looks like he might be going in for the send of a Charles Whedon. And they go side by side. And it looks like Austin McGill is through. That's 1 position back for him. Very clean for Austin McGill as he made a very tactical move. So we're going to see if anyone else in the grid higher up can make that sort of a move. Oh! And it looked like Tyler Anderson wanted to. Probably just too far back. And where's his head at. Tyler Anderson full on the power. Oh! Dylan Maroney completely off. Just misjudged it on the curbing. You can clearly see that. But he stays ahead, not having to worry about it. Andrew Korosecki's not able to make any gains off that driver. But that is definitely a loss. It's going to pull in Andrew Korosecki even closer. Tyler Anderson's going to want a piece of this as he's also getting very close. And he's really got to get the power down here. Is he going to be able to outmaneuver one of these drivers? I know a driver ahead of him is going to try to do that, and that is Andrew Korosecki. He's going to go side by side through La Source. He's ahead. And I think he's going to keep it together. No, they're still side by side with Dylan Maroney ahead still. He's going to be able to keep that in line for Eau Rouge up into Radion. He's really going to have to hold it together. Whoa! Oh, no! You hate to see it. And that is a driver fully in the wall of Dylan Maroney. And Andrew Korosecki loses out. Maybe he's definitely got a slowdown penalty for that one. That is a blow for Andrew Korosecki. Tyler Anderson takes that without competition there. He's down the order for Andrew Korosecki and other drivers as well. I am not sure what is going to happen here. They said there's going to be a safety car for something like the original event that caused a safety car was way less invasive than that, I would say, as we have Elliot Burton overtaking Eric Koonsman for position, and that goes to P20 for Elliot Burton, really clawing back a lot. He's actually down only 2 positions off the restart. He did go into the pits, and now he's actually really pulling together. This is kind of working out in his favor. A lot of things have happened on track, and now he's capitalizing. That is unfortunate. Definitely unfortunate. Eric Koonsman probably running the same livery, the Trident of Dylan Maroney. Maybe they're teammates, as it looks like that expert pass on the outside for Elliot Burton as he pulls through even before Blanchemont. And there's Garrett Augustin, who ahead of Kyle Howe. For now, they go 2 wide through the bus stop, almost 3 wide. Ooh, look at that! That's Cooper McCoy in that teal Porsche, and he just overtook a driver through the bus stop like it was nothing. What a move for that teal Porsche of Star Racing. And look at that. Charles Whedon might have a go at him up the inside. And, oh, Cooper goes wide. That leaves the door open for Charles Whedon, but through Eau Rouge, who's going to have it? I think it's going to be Cooper McCoy, and I think he's going to stay ahead. But that Ferrari down the straight, the Kemmel Straight, is going to be powerful. Is it going to be enough? He's got another Ferrari right behind him, barreling down. That's Kyle Howe, who's going side by side. He's going to take the defensive line against Charles Whedon, who can't do anything. Oh, look at that. He's not even that close. The cameraman played a trick on my eye. But 23 and 24 certainly looked like they were going to have a battle on for that. And Elliot Burton already back to P18. He's now been neutral. He's got Marcus Malum ahead of him. Looks like that he's going to try to pass him through Pouan. And they're going to go side by side. And there goes Elliot Burton for P17. He's showing his skill and prowess as a race driver. His driver that usually... Oh, no! Who's that in the background? Off goes Garrett Augustin. He goes tumbling down the order. And that is not the driver, but he's trying to get right there back on track. And he has a very damaged car. What is that? He's back out there, though. Austin McGill, also another driver who qualified in the middle of the field. Definitely has some race pace to get past some of these drivers. And it looks to be he's doing that. He's P13 at the moment. It says 14 on his window, but it will change shortly. He is now net neutral from the start of this race, and now he is trying to make some moves. Austin McGill will be his first pass to put himself further into the top 10, or closer to the top 10. I'm not sure when he's going to be able to do that. David Flanagan right behind him. David Flanagan up 3 positions off the start of this race. And Christopher Daniel and Jacob Simmons, who's going to reign supreme for P4. Jacob Simmons is about 2.5 seconds away from P3. And it looks like Christopher Daniel had a really good line going through these 2 corners. Really just not 0.1 tenth off. As Jeff Koffold and Chris Lambeth behind are also looking to shake things up. Oh. And some drivers going a little bit more wide. It's like he's in a different class. It's up to P5 now. Definitely looks to be that way. It's definitely a lot of stuff happening. And popping over to Austin McGill and Andrew Korsecki. Is this the move that he's going to make? And it looks like it. As the Porsche Rexy goes through, Austin McGill is going to still keep it in there. No, he just has to slot behind. And that is the move done for Austin McGill. As he goes ahead of Andrew Korsecki through Stavlo. We'll really see the difference in pace for Austin McGill and the drivers he has just passed, to see whether or not he's got anything more in the tank to battle Simon Witten, who is ahead of him by 1.8 seconds. There's not much change since the pass happened. They're still separated by 1/10, 2/10, and it almost looks like Austin McGill is going to go defensive a little bit so he can continue to keep his position. Burton is definitely in a different class. That is for sure. We'll see Elliot Burton momentarily, but it looks like that difference through La Source really kind of shows the pace. Is Andrew Korsecki is dropping off by now 7/10 from the 2/10 difference after the pass, as they're going to be going through Radion. Don't see much change is going to happen. 0.6, 0.5, but it looks like Austin McGill is really going to be on the attack for Simon Witten. As we pop on board with Elliot Burton, who's chunked off a full 1.8 seconds to the driver ahead of him of Chris Stewart. And they're now just separated by nothing, 0/10. They're going to go side by side through the Kemmel Straight. Elliot Burton, who's now P17, 1 position gained, or P16, 2 positions gained. He goes through. It's almost like it was in a competition there. Just straight on by. No defense needed. Or no defense given, I don't think. It didn't look like there was one. It's like a clean pass. Straight alone. As Chris Stewart is hopefully going to just slot behind him to gain a little bit of advantage through the toe. Maybe. Now Elliot's got to worry about Eddie Layton, who's ahead of him by 2.7 seconds. Chris Stewart now dropping back another 2/10 through No Name, through Puon. Is that going to change a little bit? We see Elliot Burton on a stride. This man is putting in work. He just done 2:19.5 last lap. That is his fastest lap of the session so far. Drivers ahead of him that have done also fast laps. Up there at the top, you would see the purple is the fastest lap of the race for a driver. The gray is just their last lap, no improvement. And green improvement on their last lap. If you're taking a look at that horizontal, look where that is. We have Nicholas Mazza, who's improved his last lap with a 2:19.9. By comparison, Elliot Burton's last lap, Nicholas Mazza, who's in P9, did a 2:19.9, and Elliot Burton did a 2:19.5. as Simon Whitten is the first driver to go into the pits. And just confirm that, yep, Simon Whitten is pulling that lever now. Let's see what happens there. Elliot Burton goes 2:19.1. The driver has now improved. And we have Christopher Daniel and Jacob Simmons going side by side on, I believe it's the Kemmel Straight. And through goes Christopher Daniel. And Jacob Simmons not ready to let it go just yet. They're still separated by nothing. Just a bumper. And it's through. As we have Matt Shack and Joshua Grosso battling out here. They were side by side. It looks like Joshua Grosso got ahead of Matt Shack for just a moment, as that's what it looked like on the timing boards, though. I'm not entirely sure if that's what happened. For comparison, the top 3 drivers have not changed position since the start of this race. Christopher Daniel takes P4 off this lap. Joshua Grosso has improved. He did a equal lap to Matt Shack on the last lap. His best lap is actually 1/10 faster than Matt Shack's in this race session with a 2:18.8. So there's room for Joshua Grosso to take P2. Whether or not Matt Shack's going to give it the room in a battle, who knows? You got to be defensive, especially when you got a driver this close to you. And nothing's changing out of these drivers so far. Taking a look at Eric Koonsman, who's sitting in P20. Driver ahead of him is Kyle Howe, and he's P21. He's been passed at one point. Kyle Howe is ahead of him. 2 positions gained for Kyle Howe. He's in P20. That's not much change out of these 2 drivers. And on board with Marcus Malum, who was P17. We're going to cross the line. That's going to change. That was Tyler Kern that goes ahead of him. Charles Whedon is just behind. And this is Ferrari. Can anyone make a move down the Kemmel Straight? It looks like Marcus Malum is going to try to do so. They're going to go side by side. And it looks like he's ahead. How's his braking? Ooh, perfect there. A little bit too much at curbing, but it doesn't matter. He's ahead. A little bit too much curbing for my liking, but he might be able to stick this. Although now I think that's... Ooh, Tyler Kern not able to make a move there. He slots back in. Marcus Malum goes ahead. He takes back P17. And Andrew Korostecki gets off screen. He did get past. David Flanagan is ahead of him by 0.2. And it's just so far back. Those incidents that occurred that really shook up the order after the safety car ended. They're really far back on my timing street. A lot of off tracks this race, I will say that, as Tyler Kern is now ahead of Marcus Malum, as we have three doubles of 2 wide, 3 doubles of 2 wide. Marcus Malum keeps it ahead. Tyler Kern not able to reel him in there. But we have a battle from P17 onward. And look at that. We have a driver that's back there. Oh, that was Mark Foley, who looks to pass a driver. Mark Foley, who's sitting P33 at the moment. And that is a change in the order. That's a lot. Marcus Malum is still out on track. Tyler Anderson comes back out on track, serves his penalty. Do we know what do the different banner colors pro and am? There are two different classifications of drivers, the pro and am. There are drivers as we go on board with Elliott Burton, who looks to pass on track Tyler Anderson, a couple of drivers, David Flanagan, Eddie Layton. He clawed Layton back. Whoa! David Flanagan and Eddie Layton are both going to get passed in one corner, one swoop, and Elliott Burton goes through. Wow! That is masterclass from Elliott Burton here, as he is pulled up to P12. He's got to still pit for fuel, but what a move. Everyone ahead of him has to pit for fuel. Everyone, including Eddie Layton and David Flanagan, who are behind him. Tyler Anderson, who's 9.1 seconds back, doesn't have to pit. He's already fueled for this race. And going back to the question as what is the difference between the pro and am, there are fast drivers from P1 to P 15. There is a scale, like a standings. You either get promoted or demoted from the pro class to the am class. The difference being, and briefly, as I mentioned, that Joshua Grosso goes in the pit lane. Christopher Daniel crosses the line to inherit P3. Matt Shack stays out. Trey Mistak stays out. So it's really going to be interesting to see where Joshua Grosso comes out. He was P3. This could be a really good one. Orange is the pro, light blue is the am. Yeah, sorry about the colors. I wasn't even really just explaining that well. But there's winners for the pro and am class. Makes it better for everyone. There is a speed difference, of course. As we pop back over to Elliott Burton, the speed difference is there. He drops to the back of the pack, and he's charged his way through what could be considered a lot of the AM class drivers. And you still have to make the moves, and you have to stick them and not hit the other driver through a lot of these corners. Passing 2 is really something else, though. And Joshua Grosso comes out. He's in P9 at the moment. Elliott Burton is in P10. So that's where the shakeup's going to be. Elliott Burton's going to have to go back in. He knows that the driver behind him is Tyler Anderson, who's about 9 seconds back. If we pull back to Elliott Burton, Tyler Anderson and Noah Hoskinson, so that's... He's going to fall back the order, I would say, to P15, P14, 15, 16 even, and have to battle through some of the drivers he's already passed legitimately on track, but they've come into the pit lane. He's going for an overcut. He's got a lot of clear air. He's got 3.2 seconds to Joshua Grosso, so maybe he's going to continue this, but he's got to go in the pits and refuel. Masterclass of a drive so far for this driver. No more chance of a safety car. We made it past 30 minutes. Absolutely, but the safety car, the first safety car was a 2-person incident, and then we do the safety car, and then there was a pileup almost. There was crash after crash after crash right on after that restart with a spin from Peter Flanner in La Source, I believe. And I don't even think it was his fault. I think he might have been hit from behind, maybe. I really didn't get a good look at it, but I mean, the multitude of things that happened after the safety car should have itself been a safety car. We'll see. As Elliott Burton finally goes into the pit lane. Christopher Daniel is popping out. Trey Mistak is already out there on track. Not even like a shakeup of shakeups. He is 25 seconds ahead of Matt Shack. And look at that. Matt Shack, Joshua Grosso, going to have to battle it out here for P2. And look at, they're separated by nothing now. Christopher Daniel has actually gained a little bit. He's P4. but he's really close. He's only 1.1 seconds. That wasn't the case earlier before the pit stop. Looks like Joshua Grosso is going to go late on the brakes. They go side by side. Who's going to keep it together as they go again side by side? And look at the attack on Joshua Grosso. He's really trying to make this happen. P2. He keeps P2. No. He does. He does keep P2. Matt Shack slots back in. Now he's going to have to worry about the driver behind him as well as the one in front. He's got to keep ahead with the driver in front. These two are glued together, but not as good as Leighton and I. I will say that you guys definitely have a chemistry on the grid together. Definitely the racing. Matt Shack overtaken, quite possibly because he didn't pit at the same time. It just pulled the gap and allowed for Joshua Grosso to pull him in, reel him in. He had he just had warm tires. He didn't have an outlap to contend with. Matt Shack did, and he goes through. He's going to keep for now. We'll see what happens here. Eddie Leighton is now on his out lap, and he's got Andrew Korstecki ahead of him. This is for P13. Oh! What happened there? All right, folks. Matt Shack is still P3. Oh, curb. Oh. And Matt Shack is going to go tumbling down the order with that. His wing's still good. Maybe he's not going to lose too much off of that. We'll pull back to him. He goes in the pit lane. Yikes. Yeah, he lost it. The rear was gone. Once you go over the curbing like that, that's rough. And a driver to also point out here, Austin McGill, he's only up 3 positions at the start of this race to P10, but, you know, formidable drive for the Porsche Rexy. And Elliot Burton, who I said after the pit stop is really going to have to worry about some stuff. That's Jeremy DeMezza he's passing on track there for P30, so he's not really worried about that driver just at all. He's got to get ahead. He had Eddie Leighton, who was 1.8 seconds ahead of him at one point. He did pass him on the track, I believe. So now he's just behind him, which is actually still pretty good. He's up 3 positions at the start of this race. He did go all the way back to the back of the grid at the start of this race after the safety car incident. So from P33 back to P15, this is a good result for this driver already. But I think he's going to prove a little bit more. As I say that, Eddie Leighton and Andrew Korstecki are going side by side through the corner, through No Name. It looks like Andrew Korstecki is going to keep it ahead. But what this does... Oh, no! And that is just a light tap on the wall. He's already back on track. And, yeah, it just looks like a commentator curse. And I will stop talking about Elliot Burton and let him do the driving, as he'll have to claw back around 4.5 seconds to these 2 drivers ahead of him. And Matt Shack, who's back out on track, is only P12. So the pit stop was not that bad for him. We'll see what he can do. He's got Simon Whitten ahead of him. Simon Whitten's fastest lap. Well, in the infinite words of a friend of mine, we take those. Sometimes you're driving, you don't have to worry about passing a driver. They pass themselves into a wall. And there goes Simon Whitten. I believe we'll just do a quick... Oh, he lost it before he even got to the curbing. And that's no bueno. Chris Lambeth is also having a good race. He's up 4 positions. It looks like that's the case. Matt Shack has Austin McGill to contend with. Ooh. And Nicholas Mazza and Jacob Simmons were a little touchy there, but nothing on the incident report to suggest that they got too close together. Looks like the tires are falling off for everyone. Yeah, I'd imagine so. You really have to worry about Blanchimont. That's not great for pushing if you're kind of worried about your tires. And we've seen now a couple of instances on entry and exit. So some of these drivers definitely have to worry about that. So we have the battle of the midfield. It's actually still pretty strong. All these drivers are staying together after the pit stop. They are still well within range, targeting range here. We have Peter Flanner, who's at the back of this as well. He's P23. He was P4. He did have a spin on the restart, and it looked like just kept him back in the pack for a little bit. Is down 20 positions, unfortunately. It smells like soy in here. And that's the man himself, Lost 304, with the we take those. Sometimes you just gotta accept when another driver makes a mistake. I thought Tyler Kern was gonna be making a move there, but I think it's gonna be up to Jacob Simmons and Nicholas Mazza. As we're closing towards the end of this. One more lap for sure. Trey Mistak well ahead by 5 seconds. Joshua Grasso behind P2. Christopher Daniel in P3, 1.5 seconds difference there. Chris Lambeth is in P4 with Jeff Koffel behind. Is really close still. And there's Tyler Anderson in P6. Ooh. All right. Little director difficulties at the end of this race. We'll just try to keep it together. Oh no. Apologies, folks. Looks like the program has terminated itself towards the end of this one. I don't even know what that is. All right. I believe. Okay, I think everything's crashing down here. It's not a great start to the first race of the season. Boy, not much else I can say about this. I don't even know if I'm technically still streaming. It looks like everything's still good. Maybe. Oh. No. It's technically still going, folks, but now I'm getting nothing out of the controls here. Yeah, Yikes. All right. The race is ended, though. I will tell you that much. Trey Masek did finish P1. Joshua Grasso finished P2. Christopher Daniel in P3. Uh, track map is still going. All right. Then we can see it there. Christopher Daniel in P3. Jeff Koffold and Tyler Anderson might have changed positions for P4 and 5. Um, man, that is unfortunate. Chris Lambeth in P6, Noah Hodgkinson in P7, Jacob Simmons in P8. Yeah, I mean, something happened at the end of this one, folks. I'm sorry. Noah Hodgkinson in 7, Jacob Simmons in 8, Austin McGill in P9 finishes up. Matt Shack finishes in P10. Right across the line there, though, maybe Jacob Simmons and Noah Hodgkinson switch for P7 and 8. Nicholas Mazza in 11, Andrew Korostecki in 12, Eddie Layton in 13, Elliot Burton in 14, Chris Stewart in 15, David Flanagan in 16, Charles Whedon in 17, Eric Kunzman in 18, Kyle Howe, Peter Flanner, and Tyler Kern are all up changing at the moment. Kyle Howe looks to take P18 or would be the battle of battles. I think it's over. That part is over. Thank you for sticking with me, folks. Eric Kunzman in P19, Peter Flanner in 20, Tyler Kern in 21, Dylan Maroney in 22. Scrolling down here, we have Andrew Cody in 23, Rodrigo Theory in 24, Bryce Bomback in 25, Garrett Augustin in 26, Steve McGowan in 27, Marcus Malum in 28, Simon Witten in 29, Mark Foley in 30, Jeremy Demez in 31, Cooper McCoy in 32, Matthew Wyckoff in 33, Craig Curl in 34, and two drivers that actually didn't drive with us, but Nicholas DeVille and Jason Greider. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. I'm sorry that it was an anticlimactic ending there. There is a true technical difficulty, and that's just shattered my entire stream of watching the race. But the race has ended. That was round 1, as we are going to go next week to for round 2 of the GT3 Sprint Champion Series. This is season 8, and we're going to go to Mosport, the Canadian Mosport. So that should be a really fun one. I hope you guys tune in and join the Discord, and thanks for watching.